If you were an athlete, then you need this routine desperately, and it's to save your Achilles, because about 25% of people who were athletes have Achilles pain in their future or already have it now. That's not even the worst part. In the NFL, they report about 8 Achilles ruptures happen each season. You got the thickest tendon in your body that you use with every step, and it's rupturing. That shouldn't be happening. We should be taking care of the tendon and making it strong, because if it's used with every step, you're gonna be stronger with every step. So to start, we're gonna be getting blood flow into the Achilles. We're gonna do short range, the calf pulses. So you're back to the wall, and then you're lifting up, pushing through your toes. You can sometimes feel your calves almost cramp. We're aiming for about 50 here. And then if this is too much for you, then go closer to the wall and just hold the position. And then as you get more and more comfortable, you're gonna go forward, hold in that position, and then if you can start moving, you start moving. As you go out more and more, it makes the range even shorter, which makes the contraction harder, but if you have that range, use it. Typically, about a foot from the wall is the best spot to be doing this movement. This is gonna warm up the calves and the Achilles and make it feel all good to start the rest of the workout. So from that movement, we're gonna go into a tricep, which is gonna work the feet and of course the Achilles. So we're stretching the tibs first, so the front of the foot. If you can't sit like this, that's okay. Sometimes the knees are limited. We need to move here. You should be working on the knees if that's the case, but we're gonna act like we can do this for today. So if we're just sitting here, that's okay, and that's gonna work. You're gonna go about 30 seconds if all you can do is sit. If you can move, then you're gonna go through between 20 to 30 reps, depending on what you can handle. If you can handle 30, go 30, but that's 1, 2, 3, so count 15 on each side. The more and more stretch that you can get into the feet, the better, without shifting too much. So this is another movement that you can do when you shift, but for now, keep the hips straight and just lift up. Pushing the toes into the ground with each step that you take as you go through the movement. The next movement is the plantar fascia stretch. You're gonna put the toes up and you're gonna do the exact same thing. Aiming to lean back, you get the butt to touch the heels is the goal. And then we're walking. As we walk, you're getting a little extra stretch in the plantar fascia. If all you can do is just sit here, that's okay. Again, 30 seconds. But if you can do the movement, 20 to 30 reps, just taking little steps. One thing that I see often with this one is as you're sitting here, you let the toes go out a lot. It's not a bad thing to be able to stretch all the toes, but for the case of this exercise, what we're working towards, we want those heels to go in and then the butt to come back. So most of the stretch is going through the plantar fascia into the big toe. And what does that go through? The Achilles. So that's the focus, as we know. So the last one is the camel squat. What we're gonna do is shift the leg forward to the point where this right leg can still stay on the ground flat. You're lifting up and you're pushing this right knee forward as the other one goes there. So you're getting a stretch here and you're getting a stretch in the Achilles. Going up, come back down. One thing that you want to make sure you're doing is keeping this foot flat. So as you're doing this stretch, this knee is up and this foot is pushed forward. You're going all the way up in the squat and then you're coming back down, feeling the stretch slightly right here. You'll probably feel more of it on the ankle that is flat, but you're gonna be doing 10 of these squats. If you can't do the full squat, one, you can use TRX to help pull you up. The other thing, you can have chairs next to you to push up on. And the last thing is that you can just hold this position as well. Pushing the knee forward, kind of starting to feel the stretch here, getting comfortable with that. Feeling the stretch in the back angle, all of that comes together, and then you're gonna go right back to that first part, which is the tib stretch. So going through that 2 to 3 times. The next section that we're gonna do is 2 different calf movements. The first one is the straight leg calf. So you're here on a slant board is best, leaning forward and then going up. What you wanna do is push through the big toes. Oftentimes, you try to not use the big toes and you'll see people with their heels, same thing as what I talked about before with the heels, is they'll slide out this way. We don't want that. We want to go right over the big toe, applying most of the pressure through the board with that big toe and then controlling down. That's the first one. We're gonna go to 20 reps there. The next movement is knee over toe calf raises. Having the knees forward, pushing up, coming back down. Again, push through the big toe. There's a time and a place to learn to control through the four corners of your feet. For now, I want you pushing through that big toe. It works the whole chain up through the Achilles into the calves. So boom, boom, boom. And if you say boom on every rep, it makes it go by faster. I'm just kidding. The seated calf is a better alternate to this, but not everyone has access to one. You get a better stretch in that part of the calf that we're working, and you can feel it in the Achilles a little bit deeper. If you have Achilles pain right now, then this next movement, which is just the calf stretch, is gonna be your last movement for the workout. And the point of this is that you're already damaged, so if we're breaking it down too much, we could actually cause more problems. The calf stretch, you're just holding for a minute, and you're just trying to sink down. You can mess with pressing different points of your feet, so having the big toe pressed down or having the outside toes. You're gonna feel it differently in the Achilles. Where you feel the deeper stretch in the tendon is probably where you're gonna need it. But again, don't push through a crazy pain. If it's stretch and it's uncomfortable, it's actually a good thing. And of course, you're gonna get both sides. I didn't say that, but hopefully I don't have to. So we're in the gym because we need some weights, but these are the advanced movements for the Achilles. And the only reason I say advanced is not because they're difficult, but because they need more preparation for the Achilles to be safe while doing it. So the first one is the bent knee, single leg slant board calf. What you're gonna do here is lean forward and then slowly push the heel down. You're applying more and more weight, and the heel is floating, so the Achilles is getting a lot of stretch here, and you're just gonna hold it. It's like an isometric. So you're holding this position, you're getting a lot of stretch in the Achilles. The main weight is through the big toe, and the more you push through the big toe, the more stretch that you're getting in the Achilles. You can play around and press through the outside toes as well. You're gonna feel it differently. You're gonna feel it differently, and it won't be as much in the Achilles. It might be in the side of your ankle. If you can get your heel to the slant board, it's really good, but you probably won't be because you have your knee pushed forward. So if I move my knee back, yeah, it's easy to do that. But as I push my knee forward and sink more and more into that heel, the Achilles gets more stretch, and I'm doing more of what I'm aiming to do. Opening up the Achilles, so there's less danger when you're doing sports or when you're doing activities. This advances on to doing the knee over toe slant board calf raise, where you can sink to the bottom. You feel that stretch, not always comfortable, push back out. Sink to the bottom, feel that stretch, push back out. So that's the advanced single leg, bent knee, calf raise on a slant board. The next movement that is more advanced, again, puts more stress on the Achilles, is the knee loaded HEG split squat with no heel elevation. The weight is gonna be in the same hand as a leg that is forward. You're gonna put the weight on the knee, and then you're pushing forward, keeping that heel down. If it floats a little bit, that's okay, but we're aiming to keep it down. And then what you're gonna do here is come back up, not completely, so more like a pulse, and then go through reps, pausing at the bottom just slightly, feel that stretch, and moving back through, all the way down, all the way back. So to show you on the other leg, right hand, right leg, and we're pushing forward, keeping that heel down, tracking with the tib, boom, pushing back up, going slow. This ankle causes me a bit more issues when I'm working to stretch the Achilles. The front of the ankle will sometimes lock if I'm not moving slow through the motion. So I move extra slow. That way it doesn't lock. So that is the HG split squat, knee loaded pulse. One thing I forgot to say about that movement is you don't need that much load. I had 20 pounds there, and that's actually fairly heavy as the weight goes on that knee. You just want to take the time and think again, pushing through the toes, feeling that ankle rotate so you can get the stretch on that Achilles. You're pausing slightly and going back. You can even start with like 5 to 10 pounds, and that should give you enough feeling that you get that stretch, and then you can build on from there. And last, we have the squatted Achilles stretch with weight to help load down the knees. As you're doing this, pull up, take a few steps from the rack, of course. And then what I want you to do to start is spread out the toes. So you're gonna sprawl the toes and then create something called short foot, applying pressure into the ground with the feet. And then you're squatting down. The bar is gonna go onto your knees, and then you can go into Zercher position to help hold it a little bit more comfortable. And you're just sitting in this position. You're flexing the tibialis, which is the muscle on your shin, to pull your knees forward, giving you extra stretch in the Achilles. And you're basically just sitting here. My opinion on toe spacers is that your feet should learn to function without them, but they can be super useful, especially if you spend a lot of the day in shoes. So obviously, I'm not in shoes here. I've been working to strengthen the muscles so they don't need the spacers. I still use them, especially, like I said, on days where I'm spending a lot of time in shoes or if people are in pain. So I've had turf toe multiple times when I'm playing soccer. I kick and somebody gets their foot in the way. Stuff like that happens because I'm playing an active sport. So how do I fix that? Toe spacers are my first thing that I tell everybody. Get toe spacers because when your toes are out of place, they heal wrong. So we want to heal them straight and pain-free. So you start doing toe exercises and building that up while you have the toe spacers in, because you want to make sure that they're learning the proper movement as you go through. To get out, you can either use Zercher and then re-rack it up high, or typically I'll just squat myself out of it and then back up. Another variation I use is with a slant board and having your heels slightly elevated. What this helps is the heels start to rotate so you can actually get extra dorsiflexion, which is working that stretch in the Achilles. So it's here just to show you how to get in. You walk around, heels are just on the edge of the slant board, and then you're pushing down, same way we got into the last one. You can already see how much deeper I am in the squat. I'm more upright, my knees are further forward. My tibs, if I try to lift my toes up, will probably start to cramp. And I'm just sitting here, pulling those knees forward. This can really help your squat form as well. You can see I'm up here. If I had a bar on my back, I'd be very comfortable right now. Pushing forward, and then that's it. I use this a lot when my Achilles were super tight. Now I typically use the flat one more. But when I'm working with different people, if their Achilles are super tight, this can be a very good method to opening it up as long as you're not in pain. Again, not in pain, use these different advanced methods that put more stretch through the Achilles. And the last section is what I call foot pressure. Not everyone needs it, but most people will benefit with it because we have such terrible shoes and terrible foot habits. So there's 4 points of pressure on the feet. You have right here through the big toe, you have the little toes through this side, and then you have 2 points on the heel. When your foot is on the ground, you can mess around and put pressure into each of these 4 corners. It's kind of a fun drill just to see where you're weakest. The first movement that I'm gonna give you is towel curls. So you're on the towel and you're grabbing like this. So this is the basic version. You're just learning to flex the bottom of your foot. You can do about 3 sets of 50 for these, and you'll start really feeling your feet. The more advanced version is just to lift up your heels and then keep doing the same thing. You can feel how much more difficult this is, but you want to be able to do this, and even that right leg is kind of shaking for me. It's been a long day of foot training. How many people you know do that? Not too many. So that's the first exercise. And then the second one, which is also kind of like the third, is going to be foot bridges. So what you're doing here is pushing through the big toe and applying as much pressure. All the other parts of my feet, all the other 3 corners of my feet are off the ground. And I'm just driving the big toe and the ball of my foot into the ground, putting as much pressure as I can while I'm going through that. Then you're gonna go onto the outside point and do the exact same thing, applying pressure into the ground as much as you can. This is the basic version where you have your butt on a seat. The intermediate version is lifting your butt off of the bench or the chair and then pushing that same pressure as you go through. So on both the inside, hold, and the outside, both of those you're gonna apply the pressure. Then the advanced version is actually getting on the ground and pushing yourself up with your hands and then doing the same thing. Because of the range, it starts to cramp very easily when you're doing these. And then outer ones, whoo, these feel good. So with this, you wanna do about 10-second holds and then do it 5 times through if you can. That might be a lot to start with, so as you build out your feet, just start going slow. The thing with foot training is when you train your feet, they get sore, but you still have to walk on them. So keep it slow and start building that pressure on the feet. The last thing I wanna cover is the short foot of what I talked about earlier. So it's applying pressure in the foot, creating tension into the plantar fascia to put pressure through the 4 points of the feet into the ground. So if the Achilles is your problem, do this routine, start working with the feet, and the Achilles will then no longer be your problem. Hit subscribe because there's more videos coming out on how to prevent injury, but also how to get out of the injury that you're stuck in that's keeping you from being youthful and playful and happy. The links below in the description go over my coaching application, which you can apply to get one-on-one help so you can get the fastest results possible, or the video series that I have that goes over all the concepts that I use to get the people results that they want. If you want to do it yourself, that's a great way to start, and it's free. I'll see you in the next video, and comment below if there's anything specific you want me to cover.